Hi, I'm Ken Lyndon-Dykes from Saddleworld, and I've come to check the saddle today of this particular horse, who's 5 years old, who I've already been told has changed a lot in the last year or so, and of course that you'd expect that with a 5-year-old. Between sort of 4 and 7 there can be very big changes. Also in this particular case the rider has changed. She was 13, she was now 15. She was 5'2", she's now 5'6", and is going to keep on growing. So we have a number of things to consider. But the first thing I'm going to do is check the horse's back. What's he called, Joe?
This is Harvey. He's 6. We bought him as a 4-year-old. He's coming 6 this year.
He's coming 6 this year.
He's used for jumping and eventing.
Right.
And as you know, he's owned by a teenager who grows rapidly and changes.
Right.
So we've already been through a couple of saddles. And most of the problems we had with the last one was rider. She grew out of it and her knee was hanging off the front,
of course,
which I think affects
everything. Absolutely. So let's just give him a back examination first, and I do that by just checking that he's square enough.
Are you okay?
Yes, that's rather better. Just check the reverse of the spine. Just checking there's no soreness there. It's okay. And the sacroiliac. Oh dear, that's not too great. Got a little bit of a strain there. Good through the trapeze area. And now latissimus, longissimus dorsi up to the lumbar. Oh, he doesn't like that one bit. Sorry about that, old chap. Let's look at the other side. So each side of the spine. Interesting. He's actually rather... Just bring your head slightly over, would you, Joe? Very slightly. He has one shoulder bigger than the other. Not at all unusual with young horses, and with working a fair bit on the bad rein, you can soon put that to rights. So we have a bit of soreness here and the sacroiliac here. Not too severe. There are sometimes I'll touch a horse and will hit the ground almost. Sorry, you were going to say?
When you're saying the sacroiliac, how is that connected to the saddle?
Well, it isn't. But what this does tell us is that it gives an idea of why the horse isn't perhaps quite square, because he won't be bringing that leg underneath him quite so much, and so he'll be pulling with the alternative forehand rather than pushing from behind, which will make him a bit asymmetric. Right. Also, we have to think about this horse. Let's just look at him. He's not 6 yet. He's fairly croup high. Has quite a dip here. They tend to throw the weight of saddles forward, yet he's sore here. So let's now look at the saddle and see if there's, because we know the horse has changed a lot since the saddle was first fitted to the horse, so we're not in any way criticising the person who fitted the saddle, because we don't know what we were looking at there. So let's now look at the saddle. It's a field house saddle, made in Argentina, but of a good make. A bit cold, I'm afraid, old chap. And we go through our fitting tests, as you might have seen on the other video, and this particular saddle is made of a tree which is of wood and steel, and the wood comes around here and a metal bar through the top, the head plate, and a metal bar underneath the gullet plate, and the leg of the tree comes down here. So it's really important that if that is the angle of the shoulder and this is the dominant shoulder, that we should have a similar angle. We'd accept that or that, but never that. So I rub my hand through and see if the... Now bear in mind this is off-load, no rider. That is in fact fairly tight. Let's just have a look at the other shoulder. And it's a shame you can't see this, but it's much freer here because I'm working, as one always should, to the dominant shoulder. The next thing we're looking at, if that is the spine, the gullet can't do that, it must do this. So I put my hand inside, lots of freedom at each side of the spine, particularly important under where the stirrups are, because plainly there'll be more pressure coming through there. The test, everyone knows, the Boy Scout test, how many fingers, which we know is foolish. Forget how many fingers, it depends how big the person's hand is. But more importantly, it must be clear at all times under load when the saddle sits in balance. In balance means the cantle wants to sit slightly higher than the pommel, so the rider's weight is in the centre, so that the panel sits evenly all the way through and mustn't come beyond the last rib. That's just about on the last rib, which is just acceptable. And the saddle is not bad in balance. This has a flocking in here which can be adjusted, but that's really pretty good. So the soreness that is coming from here is because as this scapula is rotating, it's hitting the front of the saddle and doing that and making it move on there. It's not brain surgery, it's common sense. But the saddle is not a bad fit at all. I might want to do something, just give a little thought about what we can do perhaps to alleviate this. This particular saddle has got rolls which can be taken off, like so, to suit the rider's length of leg. Kind of important for this rider who has changed so much in such a short time and might change more. Now I would trot the horse up and see how much it affected the hip lift, because we're not quite even at the back. Indeed, of course, we have the shoulder here. So what you do is you get, if this is your problem, slight soreness behind, first see your local qualified saddle fitter through the Society of Master Saddlers, and then if the saddle can be adjusted to alleviate that a little bit, and there are things that can be done, great. If not, you might just need a bit of physio. But look at the angle if this comes up here. So it's almost asking for friction. Although the weight has been thrown forward of the rider, that's been compensated by the way the saddle has, I understand, been recently flocked, so it sits fairly level, which it does. And of course, I have no way of knowing how old this slight soreness is. It might well be improving since the last adjustment.